Hello, this is the introductory video in a series dedicated to the variation in the two knights defense. The two knights defense begins with the following moves: e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop to c4, and black plays knight to f6, having developed both of his knights, thus the name two knights defense. The most critical and sharp line here begins with knight to g5, and it's the defense to this line that I would like to examine in this series. So because f7 is currently attacked, black is forced to play pawn to d5, blocking the bishop, and white recaptures. Here the most popular move is to play knight to a5, counter-attacking the bishop and removing the knight from the attack of the pawn. It is well known that recapturing the pawn back is very dangerous, because white has either immediate sacrifices on f7, or he can follow up this a bit with pawn to d4, with very similar ideas as well of sacrificing on f7 at some point, but here as well he's throwing the ideas of attacking along the e-file. Instead of either examining knight to a5 or knight to d5, I would like to draw your attention to a move pawn to b5. Counter-attacking the bishop, black is posing some very interesting questions, and one has to learn theory here for both sides to have any chance of coming out successfully out of this opening. So it is this move b5 that I would like to examine in great detail, and I've broken down the series into 4 parts, just based on the major responses that white has. In the first part we will examine the recapture on c6, and then black recaptures on c4, so at least he's not down a piece, and then the position of this knight here is a bit loose, and black gets compensation through his faster development in this type of positions. He will be down a couple of pawns, but otherwise he has great counter-attacking chances. Another variation is recapturing on b5. That has the drawback of leaving the pawn on d5 undefended, and black takes advantage of that by playing queen to d5, and that also hits the bishop on g5 and the pawn on g2. So this leads to this sequence, where this endgame is roughly balanced, and black is doing fine here as well. The other 2 videos are dedicated to more critical response, which is bishop to f1, a strange looking move, but the best one nonetheless. Here I recommend the move pawn to h6, which scores pretty well, even though it's not the main line, and it again poses some very concrete questions to white. He has to decide where the knight goes, and there'll be 2 lines examined here. One is less critical, knight to f3, and here black goes for the long castle and also has great development and initiative in return for the pawn. And after h6, the main critical move, and the one that is critical to the entire variation, in my opinion, is knight to f7. The idea is to expose the black king before recapturing the knight on c6, and here white is also up 2 pawns with a chance to grab the third one on b5, but he's falling behind in development, and it's this pressure on f2 that black will exert after also getting the rook out to f8 and getting the king out of the way, and it's this pressure that leads to the most interesting positions in the entire variation, and I think you will learn a lot about developing initiative, and not only these concrete positions, but in general developing initiative in open sharp positions from this analysis, and I think you will also have a great great opening weapon coming out of this. And so I'll close the starting video here, and I invite you to follow the rest of the series and learn more about this very interesting variation.